जय जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधमाधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हेमल प्रभु हरे कृष्ण दर्शन जी
हरे कृष्णा हरे बोल।
हरि बोल
Very beautiful Kirtan Prabhuji.
Thank you Homogu Prabhu, always joyful to be singing in the association of devotees. This year 2024 I'm hoping learn more of Kirtan, get better and add more nectar to our lives by sharing about Krishna Katha. We'll do a quick prayer. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Om Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimadi Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Nirsunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarini Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare
हरे
Krishna
कृष्ण।
Himlata ji Hare Krishna, thank you for joining us.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
So wonderful to see you also. Thank you for joining. Ramya ji Hare Krishna, thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Um, so very excited, very another beautiful chapter. Just a quick recap. We were talking about this divine leelas of Krishna. As we always reserve to the Krishna Katha, one quick sloka from Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatutaha kyakradeham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, where Krishna Bhagavan himself is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita that one who hears Krishna Katha, one who hears the divine leelas of Krishna's birth, Krishna's appearance, Krishna's divine leelas that have happened in the places like Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwarka. Even if by hearing this beautiful Krishna Katha, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, You will, once they leave this material world, we will not come back, but we will directly go to Krishna Loka. So you can imagine how auspicious it is to listen to Krishna Katha. And we pray that as the new year is beginning 2024, this is the second session that we're having on Krishna Katha. And we pray to Krishna to give us this wonderful nectar. And I believe, and I honestly believe that by the end of this year, we will have so much of nectar in our life, so much of Krishna consciousness in our life, that every time we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we can think about this divine Leelas of Krishna, which are so purifying. And as we can see in the earlier chapter, that when Krishna enters into Mathura and beautiful divine Leelas are unfolding, and we can see that how so many things are linked with the previous Janma as well for everyone, like the reason why the washerman who was a servant of Kamsa, why he was struck on the ground by Krishna. And at the same time, we also seen that when Krishna there was another Leela that was unfolding when a tailor makes beautiful clothes for Krishna and Balaram. When Krishna and Balaram are entering into Mathura, and they're walking in the streets of this Mathura, and all the people of Mathura are waiting for this day to see Krishna and Balaram walking on the streets and coming to Mathura, the invitation. But the beautiful thing to realize is that even though the ruler of Mathura is Kamsa, who was really looking forward to see Krishna and Balaram, to put an end to them, he was making all kind of a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D in order to kill Krishna and Balaram. But at the same time, the inhabitants of Mathura, they were actually really enamored, and they were just waiting because they heard so many divine leelas, so many divine pastimes about the gopis in Vrindavan. They have a different, they were waiting for Krishna and Balaram to come so that they can just have one look at them. But you can see from these divine leelas that from Krishna's Katha, these things are so important. Krishna Katha is so important in our life because we will be able to understand Bhagavad Gita much, much more easier, in a much more better way if we link Bhagavad Gita to Krishna Katha. Because we can see Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. According to your level of surrender, I will respond accordingly. And we can see through the Krishna Katha how Krishna is responding. Like, for example, this last time we covered a devotee who's a tailor took an opportunity of service to make some nice clothes for Krishna and Balaram. Thus, very nicely attired, Krishna and Balaram looked like elephants dressed with colored clothing. And Krishna was so pleased with the tailor because he was a devotee of Krishna, and he was so much pleased with doing for the Krishna that Krishna, what he gave him in return was he gave him a benediction of Sarupya Mukti, which means that after leaving his body, he would be liberated and he would be getting a four-handed body, just like Narayan in Vaikuntha planet. Who can give this kind of a boon, right? Now, this is the most important thing to understand, because there is a misunderstanding where people think, and we had this situation, right, when somebody was coming and saying like, okay, so worshipping any god and Krishna is the same. So Krishna is not saying that you have to only worship him. He's saying that you have to worship demigods also. So there's so many misunderstandings like that. We had to be very clear that what the demigods or what the devatas can offer, or what the other gods that can offer, they are very temporary. They're very temporary in nature, and they're for a limited period of time. But what Krishna is offering is just not about the benediction of a good life, but when he blessing us, he's just not blessing us in this life, but he's also blessing us about the future life, because only Krishna knows what's going to be our future life. So he's blessing us with all, like you can see over here, just an ordinary tailor who's just preparing nice clothes for Krishna, and when he's doing it out of love for Krishna and Balaram, Krishna is ready to even give him such kind of benediction that he will get this Sarupya Mukti to four-handed. What can we do in order to even get something like this, a four-handed body like Narayan? So this is Krishna's gift. Krishna wants us to give us the highest benediction more than anyone else, because we are living in this material world, we get attracted to any god who blesses us with temporary benefits and materials, anything for sense gratification or anything like that. But here Krishna is saying that I give you the highest boon, where you can get a four-handed body like Narayan. And also we seen, as we went to this chapter, that how when a florist who was very humble and submissive, when he's offering this to his prayers. And we can see from these beautiful stories that in Mathura, that how the people in those days were so knowledgeable. They were so knowledgeable that even a florist also, look at the prayers that he's offering. He's saying, my Bhagavan Sri Krishna, because you have come to this place, I think all my forefathers and all my worshipful superiors are pleased. You are the supreme cause of all the causes of this cosmic manifestation. And for the benefit of the residents, you have appeared with your planetary portion to give protection to your devotees and annihilate the demons. As we can see, Krishna mentioning that in Bhagavad Gita, right? Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanardaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Where Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And this person is saying about that. He's saying that you give protection to the devotees and to annihilate the demons. So people out there, a lot of time we think that we have evolved, but actually if we really see, we have devolved actually in Kali Yuga. Because people in Dwapara Yoga, you can see the kind of level of knowledge that they had, whether you're talking about the gopis or you're talking about devotees like Akrura. Because Krishna says that, even in Bhagavad Gita, that when you are in devotion for Krishna, Krishna gives us all this knowledge which will enlighten, which will remove all the ignorance, and which will give you all this knowledge about Krishna Bhagavan. So that's the reason why you can see all the devotees, the kind of, they are not looking for material benefit, but they have so much of, when you understand who Bhagavan Sri Krishna is. You see this, the way he's referring to Krishna, a florist, he's talking about Krishna. You are equally disposed and a friend of all the living entities. You are the super soul, or you are the Paramatma, and you do not discriminate between friends and enemies. Yet you are pleased to give your devotees a special request results of your devotee activities. So very important to understand, right? Because some of these prayers, you can see that why the devotees are so peaceful, right? Krishna gives this peace formula in Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhoktaram yajana tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatamam shantim richate. When you understand that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, when you understand that you are not the proprietor, the supreme proprietor is Krishna. He is the one who's ruling all these universes, and Krishna is the one who's the best friend and well-wisher of all of us. That's the most important to understand. Many times we keep Krishna on somewhere in the altar, and we think Krishna is somewhere out there. We are not sure whether he's listening to our prayers, but Krishna is saying that he's making it so personal that he's telling that Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, I am your best friend and your well-wisher of all the living entities. It's just that we have forgotten this relationship, this most intimate relationship. And Prabhupada and Krishna himself sent Prabhupada to give us this knowledge that in this Kali Yuga, the best way to revive our consciousness, it's not that Prabhupada explains that we all have this love for Krishna within our heart, but it's in a very dormant stage. And in order to wake up this loving relationship with Krishna, we should take to the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And every time that we are doing, we are kind of like cleansing our entire Atma, which is covered by all these 5 material ends. We completely Cheto Darpana Marjana, we are cleansing our heart of all these things. And we can see from this beautiful thing that you do not discriminate between friends and enemies. As we can see, where Krishna says, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu Name Dveshhistina Priya Ye Bhajanti Tu Mam Bhaktya Mayi Te Tesha Chapyaham, where Bhagavan Sri Krishna is telling that in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga. I envy no one nor am I partial to anyone. Krishna is saying, I'm equal to everyone. But one who renders service to me in devotion, right? So whether you're an atheist or whether you're a devotee, Krishna is saying, I don't show any partiality. I'm equal to everyone. He's giving the same breath of life to whether he's an atheist, whether a devotee of Krishna, whether he's a devotee of Shiva. He's giving the same life. He's being equanimous with all the devotees. But he says that one who has rendered in service, in devotion towards Krishna, Krishna says, for that kind of a devotee, I am a friend to him. I'm a friend and he's a friend to me. Can you imagine how beautiful this is? Where Krishna is saying that when you do something, a little bit of bhakti to Krishna, Krishna is considering you as a friend to him. How beautiful is that's the reason why here he says, you are pleased to give your devotees the special result of your devotee activities. So even though he is equal to all the devotees and atheists and everyone, but for the Krishna devotee who's engaged in bhakti, Krishna is kind of like showing the special results. As you can see, for the florist over here, a florist Sudama, he was so pleased that he made 2 extravagant executive garlands of various flowers and presented to Krishna. And he, not only that, he was such a lovely devotee of Krishna that Sudama was wishing that he passes on this love of Krishna with all the other devotees as well, and that he should, which is always prepared in his service. And Krishna offered this florist his salutation and benediction, which he prepared. And here you can see like how beautifully the florist is offering his services to Krishna, and by offering this garland. So here, a Krishna devotee is not just interested in doing his japamala and just doing for himself, but he wants to even spread this love of Krishna to others so that others may be benefited as well. As we've seen in last month, so many people are done book distribution. Why? Because they just want to pass on this knowledge, this genuine knowledge to other people so that they may be benefited. Maybe not now, but at least sometime in future, because we will pick up a devotional book or scripture only when we are in problems, right? So you never know when somebody is in a problem, they may pick up a book which they bought 4 years back or 5 years back, and they may start reading it then. So it's always there in their deposited in their, Lakshmi Narayan account, and which they will pick up and use it at some point of time. So it is clear that the devotee of the Lord in Krishna consciousness simply is not satisfied by his own advancement, but is willing to work for the welfare of all. And like the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, how nicely they were serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by going and unearthing all the places of Vrindavan. Today, we are so fortunate that we go to Vrindavan and we are able to see Nanda Bhavan, we are able to see all the beautiful places where Brother Rani was born, and all these places because of this wonderful service that the 6 Goswamis have done, where they have unearthed all these places at the orders of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is one of the greatest thing. And as you can see over here, Krishna again being satisfied with the florist. Krishna not only gave him whatever benediction that he wanted, but over and above, he offered him all the material opulences, a family prosperity, and a long duration of life, and whatever else his heart desired within this material world. So we can see this, Krishna is like so kind that whatever the florist was requesting, he's more than that. He's just more than the love of Krishna. He's also reciprocating. As Krishna says, Ananyas chintayantoma ye jana paryupashate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogashemam vahamyaham. So he's saying, I'm going to take care of. He's replying back. He's responding to the love of the florist by saying that family prosperity, yogashemam. So Krishna is just not only taking care of ourselves, but he's taking care of our family as well, and offering a long duration of life when whatever he's designed in this material world. So we have to understand this knowledge directly from Krishna Katha, that even a small thing that we can do for Krishna, what Krishna is ready to offer for us is much, much more than what we can even think about. In material world, we get carried away by lust and we ask for very, very small things. But Krishna is not ready to give small things. He wants to give more bigger things. Neha Bikramanasosti Prachavayona Vidyate Swalpam Abhyasa Dharmasya Trayate Mahatoba. Even if you practice a little bit of consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Krishna is saying, if you practice even little, Swalpam Abhyasa Dharmasya, even if you a little bit, if you practice Krishna consciousness, it will save you from the most dangerous kind of fear of this life and death. So we should take this knowledge from Krishna Katha. So as I was saying, we can always relate Bhagavad Gita to Krishna Katha in so many beautiful things. This is the practical application we can see of how Bhagavad Gita can be translated and how Krishna is responding, reciprocating. Because the highest yoga Krishna is speaking is Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love. And this is what? This Krishna Katha is full of love of Krishna. All this Krishna Katha is basically for us, for our purpose. Yeah, as he said, with 2 things he comes for, to annihilate the demons and also for the love of his devotees. And what's the love of his devotees? By giving us this Krishna Prema through the form of Krishna Katha, so that we can understand that this is how Krishna love is. So we are starting off with a new chapter, chapter number 42. I just given a small recap of the ones what we covered, and Ramnath Prabhu and a few of our devotees were not there as well, so in the last one. So for their benefit, I just wanted to cover a few of them. And with your permission, I will start off a new chapter, chapter number 42. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So, as you all know, Krishna and Balaram are right now in Mathura, and Akrura has brought them to Mathura. And why he has brought them to Mathura is because Kamsa has sent Akrura to Vrindavan to invite both Krishna and Balaram to this Dhanur Yajna, which was happening in Mathura. And that's the background of this. And now we will dive into this. The name of this chapter is The Breaking of the Bow in the Sacrificial Arena. After leaving the florist's place, Krishna and Balaram saw a hunchbacked young woman carrying a dish of sandalwood pulp through the streets. Since Krishna is a reservoir of all pleasure, he wanted to make all his companions joyous by cutting a joke with the hunchbacked woman. Krishna addressed her, "O tall young woman, who are you? Tell me, for whom are you carrying this sandalwood pulp in your hand? I think you should offer this sandalwood to me. And if you do, so I'm sure you will be fortunate." Krishna is the Supreme Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he knew everything about the hunchback. By his inquiry, he indicated that there was no use in serving a demon. She would do better to serve Krishna and Balaram and get an immediate result of the service. So as we know, in the material world, we are always, every second of our life, we are always serving someone, whether we are serving the people in our house, whether we are working and serving our bosses, or if you really think about it, or we are serving our sense gratification, we are serving the greed inside us, we are serving the anger inside us, we are serving. And we can see here that even this hunchback woman, she was actually serving an evil demonic king like Kamsa. And Krishna is giving us her an offer that instead of serving this demonic king Kamsa, he's making a proposition that why don't you just offer this sandalwood to Krishna, to him, that is to Krishna, so that she'll be fortunate. Because this is Krishna's offer, right? We are all getting carried away by serving our sense gratification, by serving all the people in this material world. But Krishna is like giving us, through this Krishna Katha is telling us, instead of serving all these people in this material world, why don't you serve me? Yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunte yat tadkuru samadarpana. Where Krishna says, if you want to do anything, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, Krishna says, do everything as an offering to me. So Krishna here is telling her that instead of offering it to a demonic king like Kamsa, why don't you offer it to Krishna? So this is for her good. So Krishna is always, through this examples, giving us this knowledge that do everything as an offering to Krishna. If you want to do a charity, do the charity for Krishna. If you want to eat something, offer it to Krishna. That will become prasadam. Otherwise, you are only eating sinful reactions. So like that, Krishna is going on giving this. So as we progress, as we can see how this event will turn. The woman replied to Krishna, "My dear Sham Sundara, dear beautiful dark boy, you may know that I am engaged as a maidservant of Kamsa. I am supplying him pulp of sandalwood daily. The king is very much pleased with me for supplying these nice things. But now I see that there is no one who can be better served by this pulp of sandalwood than you two brothers." Being captivated by these beautiful features of Krishna and Balaram, they're talking, they're smiling, they're glancing, and their other activities. The hunchback woman began to smear all the pulp of sandalwood over the bodies with great satisfaction and devotion. The two transcendental brothers, Krishna and Balaram, were naturally beautiful and had beautiful complexions. They were nicely dressed in colorful garments. The upper portion of their body were already very attractive. And when the hunchback woman smeared this body with the sandalwood pulp, they looked even more beautiful. Krishna was very much pleased by this service, and he began to consider how to reward her. In other words, in order to draw the attention of the Lord, the Krishna conscious devotee has to serve him in great love and devotion. Krishna cannot be pleased by any action other than transcendental loving service to him. Thinking like this, Bhagavan Sri Krishna pressed the feet of the hunchback woman with his toes and, capturing her cheeks with his fingers, gave her a jerk in order to make her straight. At once, the hunchback woman became a beautiful straight girl with broad hips, thin waist, and very nice well-shaped breasts. Since Krishna was pleased with the service of the hunchback woman, and since she was touched by Krishna's hands, she became more beautiful girl among women. This incident shows us that by serving Krishna, the devotee immediately becomes qualified with God, with all godly qualities. Krishna was attracted to the hunchback woman not for her beauty, but for her service. As soon as she rendered service, she immediately became the most beautiful woman. A Krishna conscious person does not have to be qualified or beautiful. After becoming Krishna conscious and rendering service unto Krishna, he becomes very qualified and beautiful. What a lovely Leela of Krishna, isn't it? As we are seeing that unfolding, we can see this hunchback woman who was actually serving a demonic king like Kamsa as a maid servant for him. She's been entangled because, like in this material world, we're thinking that we're always enjoying and having a good time. But as we can realize that every time we engage in the material senses and sense gratification, we are entangling ourselves more and more. So this is the same thing which is happening, and here she was serving a demonic king like Kamsa, but here Krishna offered a proposition for her to offer this sandwood paste to her. And as you can see, once she applied this beautiful pulp of sandwood over the bodies of Krishna, who were already very beautiful and very smiling, and we've seen throughout the Krishna Katha that Krishna and Balaram, they used to look so beautiful that even the gopis used to complain to Brahma, why did you give us these eyelids? Because we don't want even a bat an eyelid in seeing Krishna, because Krishna was looking so beautiful. The very word Krishna refers to all attractive and Na refers to all blissful. The very word Krishna itself is someone who's all attractive and all blissful. So we can see that when you put a hand in a fire, like how you get burned, similarly by the touch of Krishna, a part of this beauty of Krishna is now passed on to this hunchback woman who's just did out of love for Krishna, that she was not ready. We can see the difference in the last chapter. The washerman, he was so egoistic that because he was saying that I'm not going to do this for Krishna and Balaram because he is a maidservant of Kamsa. And we can see how Krishna immediately knocked him down to the floor just by his upper hand. And here you can see, because he was not ready to serve Krishna, and because of so many things happened in this previous life during the time of Ram Avatar, how he was like admonished and how he was put to end by Krishna. But on the other hand, we can see here that when a woman who's even hunchback, but for all you know, maybe she may not be a good-looking girl at all, but just a hunchback woman, but just by offering something to Krishna, Krishna was so pleased with her. As you can see that he was just putting her feet on her toes on her feet, and just with one jerk, that how such a hunchbacked woman has become transformed herself into a beautiful woman. And because this is what happens with Krishna. Krishna gets so enamored that when we offer even a little thing in loving devotion to Krishna, even though Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhakta Priyachati Tadaham Bhakti Upahiritam Asnami Prayatatmana. He says if you offer these four things, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, but the most important thing is that they should be offered with love and devotion. That's the most underlying. Like sometimes when we are sending an email to somebody, when we want to highlight it, we try to make it in bold. We try to put an underline to give an importance, or sometimes we even color code it to show the highlighted, the importance of that particular sentence. So whatever we are offering, there's something which has to be in bold, underline, and something which has to be highlighted in a beautiful color, is that offering should be done with the love and devotion. That is when we can invoke the loving reciprocation from Krishna Bhagavan. As you can see that here, how Krishna was so pleased that he was thinking how to respond back to her, and in return, he made her looking so beautiful among, as you can see even in Krishna conscious, right? People who have been in Krishna conscious for a long time, there is something so divine in their face, because they are completely absorbed in loving service for Krishna, that automatically you can find they look so. And this is what Prabhupada once, when he was interviewing with the journalist, and they said like, can you show us, is there any miracle that you did? And he said like, yeah, these are the people, the devotees out here. He pointed to them and he said, these were all the hippies at one time. Now they become happies. This is the biggest miracle of Krishna. All the hippies are turned into happies. And this is what happened. Krishna is reciprocating that even someone who's so intoxicated, someone who was in the worst, in the lowest mode of tamoguna, he brought them, they were uplifted with the help of a divine guru like Prabhupada, a bona fide spiritual master like Prabhupada. They have been uplifted from tamoguna to the topmost Suddha Sattva guna, that they gave up everything and took to the loving devotion of Krishna, that the same devotees now are an inspiration for people all around the world. And this is what we have to take. This parampara has to get followed. In fact, we can see that Krishna Bhagavan mentions to Arjuna the reason why he spoke Bhagavad Gita is because the parampara, it was been coming from Krishna, right from Krishna telling this to the sun god Vivasvam. Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Vivaswan Manave Paha Manu Viksvake. Where Krishna tells that first Bhagavad Gita was spoken to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan passed it on to Manu, and Manu will pass it on to Ikwaku. And from there it has been coming on. But some way the link got broken. So that's why Arjuna, I'm explaining this Bhagavad Gita to you. So similarly, Krishna from time to time will send us great acharyas, like we have from the different sampradayas. We have Madhavacharya, we have Ramanujacharya, and Krishna Bhagavan himself came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give us emphasis on Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, So in sending a divine soul like Prabhupada, a guru like Prabhupada, to pass on this knowledge. Whenever he feels, again, Krishna Bhagavan says that Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya tu duskritam dharma samstavanadaya sambhavami yuge yuge. And also he says that whenever there's a decline in religious practices, Krishna says he descends again. So sometimes Krishna Bhagavan himself comes, and that's the reason why we say that in Kali Yuga, Krishna is descended in the form of this Krishna Nama, that is Hari Krishna Mahamanta. Kalikale Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar. So Krishna is descended. So you can see from here that how Krishna is responding, always responding to his devotees, that he's even more, these Leelas of Krishna show that more than what we are doing, showing our love for Krishna, because he is our supreme father, he is our eternal father. Pitahamasya jagato mata data pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkar riksama yajure bacha. Krishna Bhagavan says, I am your father and mother of this entire universe. For every Jivatma, I am the father and mother. Radharani is our mother and Krishna is our father. So that's the reason why when we remember our eternal father, Father is also ready to gift. And that's the reason why Acharyas say, sometimes we don't need to go and tell Krishna, Krishna, I want this car, Krishna, I want this house. You don't need to tell all that things. Krishna, just like how when we please our Father, Father gets so pleased when we are doing something nice for our Father. Do we have to tell our Father, buy me a nice car, buy me? He'll buy you the best of the best dresses. He will buy you the best of the best cars, even if it's beyond his limit. He'll take a loan and he will buy it. That's our experience, right, in this material world. And what to speak our eternal Father, Krishna Bhagavan, how much he would give us if in the material world, if our Father, Father could do so much. What about an eternal Father? How much he would do for us? How much he would respond to us? So when the woman was turned by Krishna's favor into an exquisitely beautiful young girl, she naturally felt very much obliged to Krishna. And she was also attracted by his beauty. Without hesitation, she caught the rare part of his cloth and began to pull it. She smiled flirtiously and admitted that she was agitated by lusty desires. She forgot that she was on the street and before the elder brother of Krishna and his friends. She frankly proposed to Krishna, my dear hero, I cannot leave you in this way. You must come to my place. I am already very much attracted to your beauty, so I must receive you well. And since you are the best among males, you must also be very kind upon me. In plain words, she proposed that Krishna come to her home and satisfy her lusty desires. Krishna, of course, felt a little bit embarrassed in front of his elder brother Balaram, but he knew that the girl was simple and attracted, and therefore he simply smiled at her words. Looking towards his cowherd boyfriends, he replied to the girl, my dear beautiful girl, I am very much pleased by your invitation. and I must come to your home after finishing my other business here. Such a beautiful girl as you are the only means of solace for people like us who are away from home and are not married. Certainly, a suitable girlfriend like you can give us relief from all kind of mental agitations. Krishna satisfied the girl in this way with sweet words. Leaving her there, he proceeded down the street of the marketplace, where the citizens were prepared to receive him with various kind of presentations, especially betel nuts, flowers, and sandalwood pulp. The mercantile men in the market worshipped Krishna and Balaram with great respect. When Krishna was passing through the streets, all the women in the surrounding houses came to see him, and some of the younger ones almost fainted, being captivated by this beauty. Their hair and the tight clothing loosened, and they forgot where they were standing. Krishna next inquired from the citizens as to the location of the place of sacrifice. Kamsa had arranged for the sacrifice called Dhanur Yajna, and to designate this particular sacrifice, he had placed a big bow near the sacrificial altar. The bow was very big and wonderful and resembled a rainbow in the sky. Within the sacrificial arena, this bow was protected by many constables and watchmen engaged by King Kamsa. As Krishna and Balaram approached the bow, they were warned not to go near, but Krishna ignored this warning. He forcefully went up and immediately took the big bow in his left hand. After stringing the bow in the presence of his crowd, he drew it and broke it at the middle into two parts, exactly as the elephant breaks sugarcane in the field. Everyone present appreciated Krishna's power. The sound of the bow cracking filled both sky and land and was heard by Kamsa. When Kamsa heard what has happened, he began to fear for his life. The caretakers of the bow, who were standing by watching, became very angry, and with their respective weapons in hand, they rushed towards Krishna, shouting, arrest him, kill him. Krishna and Balaram were surrounded. When they understood the sinister motives of the guards, they became angry, and taking up the two pieces of the broken bow, they began to beat down all of Kamsa's caretakers. While this turmoil was going on, Kamsa sent a small group of troops to assist the caretakers, but Krishna and Balaram fought with them also and killed them. After this, Krishna did not proceed further into the sacrificial arena, but went out the gate and proceeded towards their resting camp. Along the way, he visited various places in Mathura city with great delight, seeing the activities and the wonderful prowess of Krishna. All the citizens of Mathura began to consider the two brothers to be demigods who had come down to Mathura, and they all looked upon them with great astonishment. The two brothers strolled carefree in the streets, not caring for the law and orders of Kamsa. As the sunset approached, Krishna, Balaram, and their cowherd boyfriends went to the outskirts of the city, where all their carts were assembled. Thus, Krishna and Balaram gave some preliminary hints of their arrival to Kamsa, and he could understand what a severe type of danger was awaiting him the next day in the sacrificial arena. When Krishna and Balaram had been going from Vrindavan to Mathura, the inhabitants of Vrindavan had imagined the great fortune of the citizens of Mathura in being able to see the wonderful beauty of Krishna, who is worshipped by his pure devotees as well as the goddess of fortune. The fantasies of the residents of Vrindavan were now actually realized, for the citizens of Mathura became fully satisfied by seeing Krishna. When Krishna returned to his camp, he was taken care of by servants who washed his lotus feet, gave him a nice seat, and offered him milk and palatable dishes. After taking supper and thinking of the next day program, he very peacefully took rest. Thus, he passed the night there. So we can see that we just covered till here how a simple hunchback woman was blessed by Krishna, that she turned into a beautiful woman, and we can see that even because now that she's become so beautiful, she's so enamored by the beauty of Krishna that she was having lusty device to inviting Krishna to her home. But Krishna has come with a mission, and his mission was to go and kill Kamsa. Even earlier, Akrura had invited Krishna and Balaram to his house, and Krishna and Balaram say, like, we will go into whatever business that they come to kill Kamsa. They wanted to focus on their mission of killing Kamsa. And after that, Krishna and Balaram tell that, yes, tell Akrura that we will come to your house, but after only doing the business. Similarly, here, Krishna, seeing the lovely devotion that this lady had and how much she was ready to, uh, that she was so enamored by Krishna and she was inviting him. And of course, Krishna was embarrassed because when Krishna takes like a normal form and he was there, Balaram, his brother, was there. But Krishna so nicely, we can see from the Krishna Katha that Krishna was always very pleasant and very, very pleasing with his words, with his devotees. So even though when the demonic kings like Kamsa come, Krishna at the same time, he can respond to them in the same degree or even much higher degree. At the same time, to the devotees who love him, we can see the other side of Krishna, the compassion in Krishna, the loving, pleasing nature of Krishna. We can see all that Krishna here is saying that he's so pleased with the invitation of by her, but he tells her that he's going to only come to her after he puts an end to this Kamsa. And as you can see, like after this is happened in earlier, we seen the gopis were, before Krishna and Balaram started from Vrindavan, all the gopis were thinking like, the people of Mathura are going to be so lucky because they're going to see Krishna Bhagavan. They're going to be seeing the beauty of Krishna. And as you can see from this Leela, that as they rightly pointed out, they were like so enamored by this beautiful thing. But here, the most important thing is a beautiful Leela of Krishna that is unfolding, that a big bow that Krishna that Kamsa has arranged for the sacrifice, because the event that Kamsa has invited Krishna and Balaram is called as Dhanur Yajna, and for which a big bow was placed. And for Krishna, it's just nothing. He went near the sacrificial area, he take the bow and just break it into two pieces. It was so simple for Krishna. Maybe for the ordinary material people, for them, it could be a big thing because it was like a massive bow which looked like a big rainbow. But for Krishna, it was nothing. And that is what we can see, that in the material world, we are just like puppets in the hands of nature, that we all get enamored. We are just like lying like puppets in the hands of nature. But for Krishna, he even runs and he owns this material. That's one of this energy. So for him, putting an end or anything that comes in the form of Maya or anything that's come in the form of demonic, for him it is nothing. He can just it is only an issue for us, because for us, we are like puppets, but those same material energy, which can take different forms, like in the form of Kamsa, for them it is nothing. Like for Krishna, it is nothing. Maya jakshena prakrite suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartite. This material energy, Arjuna, is working under my direction, Arjuna, producing non-moving and non-moving beings. So we have to understand that Krishna is above all this material energy. In fact, that is one of the energies of Krishna. He is above all that. So that's the reason why you see that anything that's in the material world, for Krishna, it is nothing, because all these energies, these are all the energies of Krishna. And he owns the energy. Everything is happening at the will of Krishna. So for him, it was nothing. He just took the bow and he just broke it into pieces, just like how an elephant breaks a sugarcane. And all the Kamsa caretakers who came charging with him, obviously they were loyal to Kamsa. So all the caretakers, they came who were interested with just, taking care of the bow. They were interested in them, and now they came running to him. And Krishna and Balaram so easily, they just vanquished all of them. And this is the whole purpose of Krishna, isn't it? He's kind of getting rid of all the people who are with the demonic, who are serving the demonic king like Kamsa. So you can see that even the caretakers, as well as the group of troops that have been sent by Kamsa, everybody were just annihilated just like that. They were killed by Krishna just like that. And instead of going to the sacrificial arena, Krishna and Balaram, they go to the resting tent where they were just taking, and they were just getting ready for the next day. As we can see, for the people of Vrindavan, there were so many divine leelas that Krishna has unfolded, but they were not surprised at all. For them, they were in such a high level of consciousness. They were in so much of love with Krishna. For them, they thought it was nothing for Krishna. For them, it was like, well, Krishna is there. So every time a problem came, they would run to Krishna. And for them, it is like, okay, Krishna is there for us, and he's going to take care. They were all, every small problem comes, even when Nanda Maharaj was in problem, he would just look up to Krishna, and immediately Krishna would start protecting them. So for them, it was nothing. It was not nothing. They never considered it as a miracle or anything. For them, they thought everything is possible for Krishna. But here again, you can see from Vrindavan, that was the experience of the gopis, and that was the experience of the cowherd men. But here coming to Mathura, even the people also Mathura also they were thinking like maybe Krishna could be the demigod, like somewhat of like Lord Shiva and things like that. So that's where they were just thinking there must be some demigods or something like that. And as you can see, Krishna has actually come to Mathura along with so many other cowherd men and cowherd boys, and he must be having servants at that time. So they washed his feet and gave him a good. And as he was getting ready for the another Leela that's unfolding. On the other hand, when Kamsa came to understand about the breaking of his wonderful bow and the killing of the caretakers and the soldiers by Krishna, he could partially realize the power of the Supreme Bhagavan Sri Krishna. He could realize that the eighth son of Devaki has appeared and that now his death was imminent. Thinking of his imminent death, he was restless the entire night. He began to have many inauspicious visions, and he could understand that Krishna and Balaram, who had approached the presence of the city, were his messengers of death. Kamsa saw various kind of inauspicious signs while both awake and dreaming. When he looked in the mirror, he could not see his head, although the head was actually present. He saw the luminaries in the sky in double, although there was only one set factually. He began to see holes in his shadow, and he heard a high buzzing sound within his ears. All the trees before him appeared to be made of gold, and he could not see his own footprints in dust or muddy clay. In dreams, he saw various kind of ghosts being carried in a carriage drawn by donkeys. He also dreamt that someone gave him poison and he was drinking it. He dreamt also that he was going naked with a garland of flowers and was smearing oil all over his body. Thus, as Kamsa saw various signs of death while both awake and sleeping, he could understand that death was certain. And thus, in great anxiety, he could not rest that night. Just after the night expired, he busily arranged for the wrestling match. So, as we all know, in the previous chapters, in a few chapters before, Kamsa was making all kind of plans to invite Krishna and Balaram and put an end to Krishna and Balaram. And one of the things what he was trying to do, he was trying to get people like elephant the people who train the elephants. So he was trying to make sure that he's going to stamp them with the elephants and kill them. And if they escape that, then he was ready to go and even arrange for these, wrestlers to go and kill Krishna. Like, so that he was making plan A, plan B, plan C, like that. But here you can see that as soon as Krishna came to know, Kamsa came to know that Krishna broke the bow, and it was made such a thundering sound that Kamsa could get that heartbeat, and he could feel that the time has come, that like now that he has heard that Krishna and Balaram have come and that he has already killed the caretakers. He could understand the power of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, that finally whatever has happened, because if you remember a few chapters before, we learned that Narada Muni, even though nobody can see him, he made himself appear in front of Kamsa, and he told Kamsa that the eighth son of Devaki he's very much alive, and he's there in Nanda Bhavan. So Kamsa was very certain that Krishna, the eighth son of Devaki, has escaped, and actually he's still avail, he's still alive. And that, and now with this incident that has this event that has happened, he knows he has really started feeling the pinch. He started feeling that he became so restless. And as you can see, right, when people with the demonic tendency, and when they are so negatively, they are impacted in the mind, as you can see during the time when he was sleeping and during the time when he was awake also, he was seeing so many inauspicious signs, like how we during the good time, when we are having the very auspicious times, is nothing but when we come across nice devotees in our life, when we come across nice people in our life. If we take on our material world, if you take a material world very simply, if you see all these good and auspicious time, if you really think about it in the material world, they all happen because of people, isn't it? People around us, people who make us unhappy, people who make us happy. Similarly, when people are in the bhakti line, people are in the devotional line, the very fact that we are having association of devotee, this is the sign of auspiciousness. This is the sign when we are taking to Krishna consciousness. This is the time, this is the sign that we are feeling happy within our heart because we are practicing the most highest form of yoga. The first class yoga is called as Bhakti Yoga, that we are always chanting the holy names of Krishna. We are always having the association of Krishna. There was recently, I met one devotee where he said, I've been chanting 16 rounds for so many years, Prabhu, but I'm not having the taste of Krishna Prema. What do I do? Like, he was asking, and I had almost like an hour's uh, personal talk with him. Like, I see him regularly within the temple also. He's saying, like, I'm doing everything that is required for a devotee. I'm chanting 16 rounds. I've given up non-vegetarian, I've given up intoxication, everything, and I've been doing that. But why am I not getting this love? But he said everything he's doing in isolation. He said, I don't mix with anyone, I don't do anything, I'm just doing it in isolation. I said, one of the things, because, we should never point fingers at people who are trying to understand life, because this is a journey of our life. We should always uplift our devotees, consider every devotee as someone, like when we should be their well-wishers. We should always wish for them well, and we should just try to do whatever little bit of help. We don't need to give them so much of long lectures and all that, but just we can give them some hints, some kind of points to mention. For example, I told him, like, because you've been doing everything so much in isolation, you maybe you're not enjoying the joy of Krishna Prema. Maybe you're not able to share the Krishna Prema because there's no one who's sharing this Krishna Prema. Because many people who read Bhagavad Gita, they say, like, well, I'm not able to understand Bhagavad Gita. And some people, they say, well, I find it very dry. Some people, they say, fine, I find it like going bouncers and things like that. So we have people saying different things about this because everybody is in a different level of consciousness. The same person, if he just comes back again, gives it a try and tries out different things. So one of the thing I always suggested is, like, try to have the association of devotees, try to make friends with the devotees, try to do service along with the devotees. So that will kind of like help you to share the joy, that will help you to share about Krishna, because you're doing so many things in isolation. Of course, everything that you do, it always goes into the account of Krishna. Like your Lakshmi Narayan account is always getting filled every time you chant. There is no doubt about it. And Krishna Katha is showing us that he is constantly responding. But we always want instant results. We want to see like what we can get. But Krishna is blessing us for life after lifetime, as we can see in this Krishna Katha. So one of my advice which I told him is, like, try to make sure you have more devotee association, try to make friends with the devotees, try to be part of the Sangha, try to listen to Krishna Katha, try to have friends like that. So that way, slowly you will get the taste and you'll start falling in love with Krishna, and you'll have more and more love with Krishna. So I'm just sharing that, how all of us on different level of consciousness, there could be something which is missing in me, and I look up to other devotees as well. Prabhu, how do I kind of like get better? Because these are the things which lacunas or some problem in my life. How do I get better? So all of us can help each other. Nobody is above or anything. We are all devotees of Krishna, and we should all consider each of us as like well-wishers and see that always when somebody is having this kind of doubts and all that, just take one step more, even if it's taking 1 hour of your time. Please give you that little bit of time to just help them, to give them that hope, because everybody is looking for that hope. So give them that love and that hope so that they can just get better on the Krishna Bhakti as well. So here we can see that from Kamsa's this thing, that he was so much in negatively thinking about Krishna, because right from the time that the prophecy has come with the sky that he's going to be killed by the eighth son of Devaki, he was constantly being his mind was filled with this thing. So we can see that now he's finally feeling that a day has come, that the days are coming very near where he could get killed. And you can see, like, from his this thing, he's beginning to see holes in the shadow, hearing a buzzing sound with his ears. So these are all the things which are tormenting in his mind, because he had a negative thing, that because he's a demonic king, that that everything is being arranged. That the signs of death are showing up to Kamsa. The wrestling arena was nicely cleansed and decorated with flags, festoons, and flowers, and the match was announced by the beating of the kettle drums. The platform appeared very beautiful due to the streamers, and flags. Different type of galleries were arranged for the respectful person, kings, brahmanas, and kshatriyas. The various kings had reserved thrones and others had arranged seats as well. Kamsa finally arrived, accompanied by various ministers and secretaries, and he sat on the raised platform, especially meant for him. Unfortunately, although he was sitting in the center of all his governing executive heads, his heart was palpitating in the fear of death. Cruel death evidently does not care even for a person as powerful as Kamsa. When the death comes, it does not care for anyone's exalted position. So true, isn't it? When everything was complete, the wrestlers who were to exhibit the skills before the assembly walked into the arena. They were decorated with nice ornaments and dress. Some of the famous wrestlers were Chanura, Mustika, Sala, Kuta, and Toshala. Being enlivened by the musical concert, they passed through with great alacrity. All the respectful cowherd men who came from Vrindavan, headed by Nanda, were also welcomed by Kamsa. After presenting Kamsa with milk, comes presenting Kamsa with the milk products they had brought with them. The cowherd men also took their respective seats by the side of the king on the platform, especially meant for them. So we can see that the Leela is totally unfolding. We are just coming to the last of the chapter. So I would just, as you can see over here, Kamsa is arranged for his Dhanur Yajna, where and here is arranging for all these activities. We all find that, right, when certain event happens, there's so many other different things that are arranged. So here the every wrestling arena was arranged for them, and Kamsa had already planned that all the wrestlers, they had to be ready so that they're going to wrestle with Krishna and Balaram, and they're going to kill Krishna and Balaram. That's the plan. That's the evil plan of Kamsa, and he made it so, as you can see from here, he made it like a very vibrant one with the beating of kettle drums and streamers and flags, and as we can see, like all there is so many kings who have been invited for that. When the Kamsa himself came with his minister and secretary and all this. But deep in, because he's demonic, see, for a devotee, he's never afraid of death. But for a demonic person, Krishna can come in the form of death also. Because these are the five things in Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Jivatma, Paramatma, Karma, Prakriti, and Kala. Kala is time that Krishna comes in the form. And for death also, for the demonic people, and takes away all their appearances. So death doesn't wait for anything. No matter whatever you are, one day you'll have to leave all your positions and you leave as well. And we can see from the wrestlers, they were very well reputed wrestlers, like Chanura, Mustika. On those time, maybe they were like well known throughout Mathura and other places as well. And as we know that Nandaba, when Krishna and Balaram started from Vrindavan, all the cowherd men, because end of the day, Krishna Kamsa was a king, so it was a formality in those days that they had to take milk and milk products with them. So as you can see over here, they were presented Kamsa with the milk products, and they taking the seat as well on the platform. So I just this is the end of this chapter, and yeah, I just wanted to end over here. We don't want to go into the next chapter. It is 9 o'clock. It's just past 9 o'clock. So I just have one other chat message. It just come from Amoga Prabhuji. But I just want to first leave for any comments, realization, and then we will go into the Amoga Prabhu's chat as well. Hare Krishna, everyone. Any realizations, any comments? More happy to hear from all of us. Ramnath Prabhuji, anything?
Very nice, Sham. Very, very, very nicely said. Well done.
Thank you, Paritosh Prabhu. It's joyful. This is my remedy to get better.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, so pleasing to hear this Krishna Katha and all pastimes and how Krishna is going, and so our hero is doing all these pastimes. So when Krishna is doing and so beautifully decorating himself with all kinds of paraphernalia.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing all this and reading all this Krishna book.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Avaga Prabhu always
Thank
active.
you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Katha. Ramnath Prabhuji, anything that you may want to share?
I was really touched about the point when you said no, Krishna just touched that the hunched woman and she became young lady, right? So he took he was so merciful that he went into Garbha of Uttara to protect
Mm.
the next progeny of Abhimanyu, right? So he is so merciful. He's ready to take any form to save his devotee.
Yes. Very nice one, Prabhu. That's Parikshit Maharaj, isn't it?
Yes,
You know,
yes.
Uttara. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful realization, Prabhu. Thank you. Prabhuji, Ramnath Prabhuji, can you hear us?
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
I'm interested to get into Amoga's comments here, but one thing I can say in terms of anytime we're reading Krishna's Leela and we're trying to understand, we're just trying to follow how Krishna is interacting with all varieties of devotees and non-devotees. It's always, I think, good to remember how Krishna is different from us in one way that I sometimes don't think we think about, and that is he's Tri Kala Gya. He knows past, he knows present, and he knows the future. So he's doing these pastimes, but he's also totally aware of what's going to happen the next moment to moment. So for him, he's just playing. It's
Yes.
just playing.
Yes. Such a wonderful.
Whereas, I mean, we have our interactions in the world, and we're trying to do devotional service. And sometimes great sadhus or devotees can have some sense of knowing the future. I think Prabhupada certainly had that. But to think of Krishna as Trikalagya, I think helps explain any variety of pastimes as they're unfolding. Just as this Kubja and getting her hunchback straightened out, and then she becomes more beautiful, and it was all like Krishna was just playing around. He
Yes.
knew what was going to happen.
Yes, Prabhuji. I think it is again, I think from these Leelas, you have to understand that even for a devotee also, these Leelas keep going on in our lives as well. The problems will be there. But how Krishna protects us is also again a Leela in our lives as well, from time to time.
Problems will be there. There's so many lessons to learn in terms of tolerance and humility. And, generally we have to see things in that way. We have to be patient, tolerant, so many things.
Yes.
And difficulties will be there, but there are lessons to be learned behind it all.
Yes, Prabhuji. That is so important to realize that that we shouldn't expect that maybe as a devotees that there won't be problems. There will be problems there. Like even when Pandavas are there, they had so many problems. Actually, that's the nature of the material world. But so Krishna is not promising that he's going to have a smooth life. He's only promising that whoever is a devotee of his, he's going to make sure that they will sail through safely without any hindrances and all that. So I think that's very important. And I was just sharing, Prabhuji, like last week, I was in so much of stress and problems, and I didn't know how to handle that. And I was just doing my chanting, and everything started coming around just in a matter of days, and everything got resolved automatically. And it was so miraculously how things have so dramatically, they changed over just in a day's time, actually, this week. And I was like, I couldn't even imagine something that could happen so turn around so quickly. So, which made me realize that problems will be there. They will be striking at every moment. But when we take to the lotus feet of Krishna, when we take to our chanting of Krishna, the same problems will turn around into solutions as well. Krishna gives us the solutions as well. So we should not be enamored, or we should always have that faith in Krishna. That's the reason why Krishna says, like, two things, like Matra Sparsastu Kaunteya, Shitosna Sukha Dukkada, Agama Payinoti, Tam Titikshasva Bharata. This non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and the disappearance in due course of time are like the summer and winter season, and they appear from the mental concoction, and one should learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So it's such an important lesson. So even though we practice Krishna consciousness, many times we get tested as well in terms of our faith and things like that. But if we just hold on to the feet of Krishna, definitely things will again turn back, and dramatic things can happen, which will again go on your faith, improve your higher on your faith in Krishna. And we share that with other devotees as well, because there's so many devotees who could feel that, well, I've been doing it, but it's questioning my faith because something didn't happen. But sometimes when things are turning around,
Patience,
that
patience.
patience, yeah, because we live
Yeah,
in a
it didn't
material world.
happen overnight. Oh, why didn't it happen I
Yeah,
mean, it takes not just years, it takes decades, it takes many decades. For some of us, it may mean many lifetimes.
many
But,
lifetimes.
yeah, there's so many lessons to be learned
Yeah,
so that we can actually develop our individual, unique personal relationship with Krishna. But without patience, yeah, you just, after a few months, you give it up. And sometimes you see that
yes.
devotees join Krishna consciousness, they don't think things are happening quick enough, and they drop it.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I feel so important to share. If anything, in a good realization which you want, I should be ready to share, because that will give hope for a lot of other devotees as well. And as you rightly said, Prabhuji, we need patience. We can see Krishna Katha is full of those leelas of how something which has happened in Rama Leela, and that is being reciprocated in Dwapara Yuga, something which happened in Treta Yuga. Krishna is responding in Dwapara Yuga. And we can see from here, as Amaga Prabhu is mentioned, I think I want to just read out, wishing to get Lord Rama as her husband. For 10,000 years, Surpanaka stayed underwater and meditating on Lord Shiva. I think it's Shiva, I think. Pleased by this,
Yes.
Lord Shiva, who's the master of the demigods and the husband of Uma, came to Punkara Tirtha and said, ask for a boon. Surpanaka said, you are the great master of the demigods and you are dear to the great saints. You have the power to give all the benedictions. Please grant me that Rama will become my husband. Lord Shiva said, oh demoness, please listen. At the present time, your boon cannot be granted. In the future, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, in Mathura city, it will be granted to you. Of this, there is no doubt. And then Narada said, O noble-hearted one, in Mathura city, the demon is Surpanaka, who would assume any form at will, becomes a girl named Kubja. By Lord Shiva's blessing, she became Lord Krishna's beloved. Now I have explained this to you. What more do you wish to hear? Garga Samiti 5.11. Amazing, beautiful. So, Amaga Prabhu, you've been always giving so much nectar for us, giving us a backdrop, giving us the reasoning behind some of these things, as we all covered. In fact, the name also was not given. It was just mentioned as a hunchback woman. But as you mentioned rightly, her name is Kubza, and that's because and this Leela is happening, and many yogas before a yoga 10,000 years before, and then now we can see that all this is unfolding in Dwapar Yoga in the form of Krishna giving her blessings. There can't be anything more beautiful that even though we may think that maybe Krishna is not reciprocating, but it'll never happen like that, which is always Krishna is going to always reciprocate, and we can see that this is happening in in Krishna Leelas. In every Krishna Leela, we can see that even though maybe in this life we have just completed our life, we didn't have bhakti and we may not see anything, but Krishna knows, as Prabhuji mentioned, Krishna knows our past, present, and future, and Krishna knows what to give. And we can see from the Krishna Leela that he is giving the highest benediction. There's no doubt about that. Amoga Prabhu, would you want me to just see the place where it's been covered? Pages from 999. Okay. I don't know whether if I can search on this one. For that particular place where it is. But I think that's the gist of it, isn't it, Amoga Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, yeah, that is the text only.
That's a gist of
You may scroll down, Prabhuji, just bring, otherwise it will take so much.
Yeah, it is. I think in my this thing, I'm not able to do the thing where because 990 could be like a long way thing. And this one, how
Yeah.
do I searching for this? Would you be able to do that, Prabhuji? I'm not able to search.
Okay, sure, Prabhuji. I'll share that one.
Yeah, you can just share this one on
Okay.
Twitter, then we can just quickly look at that. And
So this is So Narada Muni was being asked by Bahulasva. So Narada Muni is answering all these things about the Sivira studies did by Maitser and Kubja. So, and also the previous ones from here. So this is about the Hemamali, the florist one.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one story. And then further, so Bahulasva is asking, who is that fortunate woman? Who is that fortunate florist? Likewise, so this Narada Muni is explaining all these things in the chapter one. Bahulasva is asking further and about Kubja. And also just one more point. So in the Ramayana, Surpanaka, she just triggered Ravanasura to interfere in the Rama's life, and then she vanished. And we don't hear about Surpanaka.
Oh yeah, that's because she's gone into the water.
Yeah, no, she went into the Pushkara Kshetra, and then she has been doing all these austerities to get Rama as a see, and how fortunate she is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Pushkara Tirtha, that's what, yeah. Very nice. Yeah, very nice, Prabhu. Yeah, you're really adding more nectar to this Krishna Katha by giving the backdrop of this. Because otherwise we wouldn't understand how come Krishna is, because everyone who is encountered by Krishna in a Krishna Katha, there's a reason why they have come across Krishna. They all had a history before, including the gopis.
Yes. The similar way, and he is also asking about the Kolaya Pida. So that is also is there. Who is that elephant?
Yeah. Yes.
And once again, Narada Muni brings about a pastime of Kolaya Pidas, about one more Rangakshetra. So it is in the Rangakshetra, Sri Ranganath. There is one person. Just wanted to just share, Prabhuji. So I think we are already 20 minutes past time.
Yeah. No, thank you, Prabhuji. That's really good because it's really adding more nectar, and we get to know the actual essence behind how come these people have come across Krishna. But again, as we can see, as we have noticed, like Krishna is also always reciprocating. So even if we don't see anything happening, everything is there eternally in our Lakshmi Narayana account. So, Hare Krishna. Nathan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Sorry, we didn't. I think we joined a bit later. So, Anil Prabhu, Hare Krishna. I hope I'm sure everyone has enjoyed the Krishna Katha, Krishna Leela unfolding today, entering into Mathura, and also this beautiful Leela where Krishna breaks this bow into two pieces. We will again cover the actual Leela unfolding as Krishna is getting ready for the actually, the wrestling and everything. So we'll cover that next Thursday. I want to thank everyone in spite of your busy schedule, you took your time to attend our Krishna Katha, humbly grateful. And we will stop over here for today.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, and for sharing. And even though you are not well, but still you are endeavoring to share your Katha, Krishna Katha to all of us, and spending your time, valuable time. And Ramnath Sukh Prabhuji, then giving your valuable time and association.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And the dear devotees kindly unmute and do 3 loud Hari Bols to the Prabhujis.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Vaishnavi. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.